All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. It's House Edge Live with John from Casino Gaming Central here. It's a new week. We're still working on our ABCs, and I have to apologize for two things. One is last week on Friday, I totally overslept. I mean, I'm not going to make any excuses for it. Meant to do a Friday Follies, and my alarm was buzzing. I'm like, oh man, it seems like it's awful light outside. It was 8:15, So anyway, apologies for missing the show Friday, but we'll do one this week. The other thing is, hopefully, you're seeing this on the live streams now. I've got the vertical, and I've got the horizontal going, just like we did last week. I did add an icon to it so that you'd know whether you're vertical or horizontal before you click it. So you should have two alerts, one for the normal, one for the horizontal one. What I've learned over a study is that the way it works is my software actually streams twice, so it's two different shows. Right, two different streams. YouTube does have a way to stream horizontally and vertically into one stream, so that YouTube will pick for you which way you get it based on where you're. Like, even if you're watching the show and you turn your phone, it would actually switch to the other feed. That technology is not yet wired into my software, which I thought it was. So my software puts out two separate streams, which means two separate chats. I can see the combined chats. You guys can't. So what I'm probably going to do is stop doing the vertical, go back to horizontal only for a while until that technology merges up. So it was a good try. I actually kind of like how the vertical looks. I'm looking at it right now on my screen. I think it looks pretty cool, actually. But if you're not used to it, you're not used to it. And of course, it won't work on a TV set. So anyway, that's coming soon. That's going to switch back anyway, and then hopefully the new thing will be cool when YouTube and my Ecamm software kind of figured that out. So anyway, I hope you guys had a good weekend. Who's all buying? Raise your hand. You all buying crypto today? My God, crypto lost like 20% in the last 5 days. But I'm telling you what, if you're into that shit, today's the day, man. Right? Today, start buying. I think Bitcoin was at I don't know. It went from 105 to 70 or something like that in 4 days. So anyway, wow. Not that I'm giving you any financial advice, but if I had a few $100 to burn, that's where I'd probably light it up. So anyway, let's get to it. We're working on our ABCs of gambling, right? So I want to get to a couple of things here. First of all, remembering why I do the shows, right? And I think if I don't remind myself, I not that I forget, but it gives me this is like athletes doing their golfer, closing their eyes and getting a little bit of a sense of what they're about to do, like that visualization thing. That's why these slides are important to me. Because we have to not forget what the casinos are in business for, right? Like I said, every company wants to make money, and I don't begrudge them to make money. Like, have your house edge, that's fine. I'd have no problem with that, right? And I've said it before. House edge to me is fine. That's your margin. That's what a supermarket's margin is, right? It's the other shit about the casino that drives me insane. And when I say that they're there to bankrupt you or ban you, I mean that. They will not stop. They will not stop until you're drained. And then it's next man up kind of a thing. That's how they work. So we have to be diligent in this, right? And I think diligence comes from, the concepts that we teach every single day, the bridge, right? The bankroll, the risk, identifying opportunity, having discipline, goals, and your emotions. Notice about the bridge, not one thing here except for bankroll, and bankroll can work two ways. Not one thing here is physical. It's all mental. It's all emotional. Everything in here, right? Your tolerance for risk, your ability to identify when it's time to hammer them or get the hell out of there, right? Your ability to exercise discipline, your setting goals, your emotions, all that is here. None of that is physical. The bankroll is a physical thing, but it's how you use the bankroll that I think is important. So these are the tools. This series, my next series I've done before, is all about this. I'm never going to give you the secret sauce. On Fridays, I'll have some fun doing some crazy strategies, make some money. I'll do a daily bankroll build again at some point. That'll show you how to build a bankroll from whatever to whatever, that it's possible if you exercise these plans, but I'm never going to give you the secret sauce because there isn't any secret sauce. Matter of fact, that's part of our thing today. So let's get into it. We're doing the ABCs of gambling. And this series came about as kind of a fun idea to sort of really, I was going to do more of a dictionary thing. Like, what are some of the gambling terms that start with all the different letters of the alphabet? It's turned into more of a let's dig into some things that I think are necessary, but also begin with these letters. For example, now we're on letter Q, and I got to tell you, Q wasn't easy to find stuff to talk about. Start with letter Q, but Q is quality over quantity. Okay. The concepts here are some of the more important ones, though, because Q really is about being selective, I think, right? Selective about how and when you play, selective about how long you play, about which systems you believe, and which ones you'll just toss away, right? Ultimately, selective about when you walk away, right? Today, we're going to cover why some gambling, why less gambling done better beats more gambling done carelessly, and how you can be a machine on strategy, making those good decisions quickly so you can save your thinking for what matters, right? Qualifying rules that separate the pros from the tourists, right? So, and I want to get into some questions you should ask yourself before believing anything you see. Remember what my dad said. One of my father's most famous quotes was "Believe nothing of what you hear and half of what you see." Right? That he used to drill that into me. Right? I think the letter Q is going to get that with us. All right, so let's talk about this idea of quality over quantity, and I'll frame it this way: the player who gambles like 10 times a year and wins may just be lucky, right? The player who gambles 100 times and breaks even maybe figured something out, which is a little bit of quality over quantity. And if you know my story, you'll resonate with which one of these people I am. But let's paint a couple pictures, right? One player gambles every weekend, right? Slots on Friday, blackjack Saturday, sports betting throughout the weekend, high volume, constant action. They're a gambler, right? Player B goes twice a month. They drive to a casino with the best blackjack rules, right? They play 2 focused hours and they bug out. They track every session. They never play when conditions aren't right, right? Who do you think has better results? Now, I'm going to kind of give you a player 3 in a minute here, but which of those players probably is doing better, right? Over time. Now, the math guys will say after 10 years, they're probably both doing the same. I would argue against that. I would say the first guy who's doing the slots and the blackjack and all just spreading his money, like just spray and pray, right? That guy, he will lose the house edge over time, as will the other player, but the first player will lose more because he's not hunting down the best rules. He's not hunting down quality play. He's not making poor decisions, right? Quality over quantity. It's choosing to play less but better, right? It's being picky about the games you choose to play, right? Walking past the 6 of 5 blackjack, like we keep saying, walking past the 3-0 roulette and finding 3-2. Unfortunately, a 2-spot roulette. When I was on the cruise ship last summer, they had 2 roulette wheels. They had a 000 and a 00. And it was all I could do not to play because they never opened up the 00 because there wasn't enough people on the ship to open up 2 tables. They never opened the 00 roulette, right? So it was only triple. And honestly, it was all I could do not to play. I played a little bit. I have to admit, I played a little because I wanted to play. But I wanted to try a system out. I was really playing it at like $5. I was just trying something out to get a sense of rhythm. I wasn't really trying to beat that game. Awful, right? It's awful. You gotta like, how do I say this correctly? I want you to check in with your mental state, right? And I want you to not play when you're tired, stressed, tilted out, because that helps them, not you. I know you want to play, right? You want to play more often. It's fun. I love these games. I love playing craps, but I can't play it anymore for 6-7 hours, right? I don't go into a casino and walk right up. And I watch people do this. They walk right up to a table. They don't give a shit. They just like, oh, look, there's a spot. I'm there, right? On the table. Don't know what's going on. Don't know what the rule, if it's a 2-1 or 4 or a 15-2-1 or 15-4-1 table. They don't know if it has ATS. Would it be nothing? Right? No eyes wide open, right? The house edge, as we know, and I said it earlier, works on volume. The more you play, the more we play, the more math starts to weigh in on you and take its toll, right? Quality play, right? Quick in and outs, minimize the exposure, while taking max value from the session, right? Or minimizing the loss in that session, right? It's not about being cautious, like to the point of no fun. I'm not saying that, right? It's about recognizing that disciplined, selective play will likely get you some better results. Better results meaning, again, losing less, winning maybe less, but more often. I'm okay with winning less money more often than winning more money less often. I'm not this home run or zero kind of person, right? And if I go back to those two players we talked about at the beginning, the one guy that kind of sprays and prays over the weekend, one guy goes once a month. I grew up gambling in the middle of that. I went every single weekend. My parents were kind of degenerate gamblers. They gambled all the time, right? We went with them every single weekend. Me and my wife, when we were first married. I learned that I could go on a Friday and play a half an hour of Baccarat and make enough money at Baccarat to go play an hour or so of craps. And if I left even or left up, I was done. Sometimes I would be done on a Friday in an hour and a half. And my wife and my mom and dad would play video poker all weekend. Sometimes I never played again. I would walk the casino. I'd have an ice cream sundae. I'd go watch the band, whatever. I could go on a Friday and not play Saturday or Sunday because that $100 meant so much to me, right? So that's why I say I could play often, but not very much. And I'm okay with that, especially in Vegas. God, in Vegas, if you win a little bit, you want to walk around town and have a good old time. You don't got to touch table again, and it's okay. It's okay. So that's the first letter Q. Moving ahead, the next one I want to talk through here is this idea of making quick decisions. Okay, and I'm going to channel a little bit of Ed from Roll to Win here in a minute, but I'll start with the obvious. You're thinking about whether to hit a 16 against 10 in blackjack. You haven't done the homework, right? Strategy decisions should take this fast, right? Session decisions, the full session should take about a minute ahead of time. Don't get that backwards, by the way, right? So if you're dealt a 12 in blackjack against a dealer's 12, how long do you think about that? That's the question, right? And I can put it on craps too, right? When you have a $12 six that hits, what do you do? Like, are you ready for the next move? That you're not thinking about it. Oh, do I want to go to 24? Do I want to go to 30? Like, I'm just gonna. You got to know what's coming up. Right? If you're thinking at all, there's a problem there, right? The play that you're going to make should be solved for you. The decision should take a second at most. If you're taking too long to make every single decision, especially on a craps table, my God, right? Think about what happens when you start drinking or when you start getting people around you talking to you and you're getting distracted, right? Or the song that you like comes on, you start gigging, right? If you're not in on the decision before it happens and it's like mechanical, you're going to have a problem in these longer sessions, especially with a group, right? I think, I see it, you see it, maybe you're doing it, right? But people agonize over the basic strategy decisions, right? And then make a snap judgment on something that matters, like whether to keep playing or not. Think about that. People have more time deciding whether to take a hit or whether to press a bet than they do about whether I should keep on playing or go for one more. Think about that, right? Completely freaking backwards, right? So there are really a couple of types of decisions that I think we have to make at the casino. Right? One, strategy decisions, right? In some games, like blackjack, it's solved. It's math, right? It's hit or stand, double or not, raise, fold, poker, right? These have correct answers all the time, right? If you've done the work, it's automatic. There's no hesitation here. Hesitation isn't thoughtfulness. It's a flashing sign that says, I'm not really sure what I'm doing, right? Then you have like session decisions, which are judgment calls. Should I keep playing? Am I fatigued? Am I a little bit tipsy, right? Should I move to a different table? Is my mental state compromised? Am I chasing? Again, these don't have universal answers. They require you to like assess and check in with yourself and make a good decision. And the goal to me for a strategy decision specifically is to be a machine. Be a machine, right? Machines don't hesitate on solved problems. Machines don't listen to the guy next to them who says, never hit a 12-year bust. Machines don't listen to the guy over here that says, see a horn, bet a horn. Machines don't have feelings about the hand or about the shooter. Machines don't care that they lost the last 3 times they hit a 16. Machines execute correctly every time. How do you become a machine? Practice. You practice. What does Ed from Roll to Win say? Practice like you play like you practice, right? You don't practice at the casino. You practice at home before the casino, right? As you know, I'm building an app whose, besides being able to play some games, it's designed to give you practice. The app is designed for practice. If you don't have a table, you use the app. If you have a table, deal yourself cards, make bets, right? This right here, I've shown it to you before. My craps mat. This is my mouse pad. This was $50, right? $50 and a stack of bullshit chips, right? Everybody can do this. Stack of, right? These are $25 chips. You can get them on Amazon. Get a mouse pad for nothing. Buy yourself some freaking Yahtzee dice, and who cares? Work it out. Get a deck of cards and deal to yourself. Practice, practice, practice. Drill your pressing moves. Again, you can buy one of these, right? A little rack. This was like $9 on Etsy, this thing, right? Work your rack management. You can do everything at home before you go there and become that machine, because when you're a machine, nothing else matters. You can have a couple of drinks. If you have your press moves down at the craps table, you can have a drink or two, right? Because you're on rote. You got it figured out. If you're playing blackjack and you want a pop or two, or you want to talk to the guy next to you, it's okay, because you know, you look at the card, you see the picture, you make the move. Drill, drill, drill. Drill your toss if you're a craps shooter. Shoot from every spot. Learn to shoot from every spot. Learn different sets. Shoot with both hands. Gargoyle's on my ass about being a left-handed shooter, right? Learn how to do all that stuff, right? Practice with clean and dirty landing zones. Figure it all out. Learn how to shoot into the hook. All of it. Practice everything. Be a machine. Can't say it more clear than that, right? The answer to every question, should I play? Should I go? Do I hit? Do I stand? Do I press? Do I not? It needs to be instinctual, not a guess, right? It should be instant. That's the play. It's not a debate. There's no justification. There's no negotiation. It's just execute, and that's it, right? And again, here's what the practice buys you. Besides being a machine, it buys you silence. Think about that. The practice buys you silence. All that noise goes away. The table talk doesn't get to you. The superstitions don't tempt you. The hot streak doesn't change how you play. You're not gambling on strategy. You're actually executing it, right? Gambling is reserved for the outcomes you can't control, right? And all that matters, all that mental energy that you're not wasting on solving problems, it's available for the decisions that are actually require some thought, right? The session decisions. Should I play? Should I go? The judgment calls. The moments where the answer isn't in a chart, right? The best players, I think, look decisive because they've already made the decision before they even sit down. That strategy memorized. Session rules are set. All that's left is execution, guys. And the occasional genuine judgment call that deserves some real thought. So I say it here, practice until strategy is reflex. Be a machine on solved plays. And save your thinking decisions for when you actually need it. So can't say it clearly enough. Practice until you can't get it wrong. That's such a differentiator. I can't even. All right, here we go. Next up is qualifying hands. Now, this is an interesting little topic. Some games, this only pay if you qualify, right? And a lot of us are craps players on this channel. I get that, right? But other games exist out there. You miss the requirement, your winning hand will actually lose. And if you understand, I'll get to these specifics in a minute, but if you understand the qualifying rules, the difference between knowledge and is an expensive mistake. Okay. For example, Caribbean stud poker, the dealer's got to have an ace king or better to quote unquote qualify. If they don't, you just win money on your ante and that's it. But the raise bet is a push, no win, no loss. Right. So think about that, right? It's a technicality in some respects, but it's not. It changes the whole game. If you don't understand qualifying, you might make a huge raise expecting a payout, only to find that you're winning the minimum when the dealer doesn't qualify. And sometimes that raise goes away on some games, some versions of the rules. Don't misjudge the value of certain hands because you haven't factored in the qualification piece. So here's a couple of games to think about, right? Caribbean Stud. And by the way, fun fact, Caribbean Stud Poker is it's the starter code, right? I remember playing Caribbean Stud when I was in my 20s, right? That was the first game. Do you guys remember when this game came out? Raise your hand in chat. Do you remember when this game came out? That was the game that the first one that ever had the what do you call it? The automatic shufflers, right? Because remember, the dealer would grab their 5 cards and drop the cards to each player out of the machine. That was the origination of the shuffle machine. That is the machine that ended up killing blackjack when they realized they could do that. And they did that for a specific reason. Caribbean Stud has exactly 75 hands per hour because it's automatically shuffled. They realized, oh my God, this thing can shuffle cards. We can kill the card counters. That was the game that killed it all, by the way. So anyway, the dealer needs ace king to qualify. If they don't qualify, you win on the ante, even money, but your raise will push. It happens almost half the time, believe it or not, nearly half the hands. So your strategy for betting changes when you realize that almost half of your raises are going to push regardless of what your hand's doing, right? 3-card poker. Again, they need a queen high or better in most games to qualify. No qualification. Again, ante pays 1-1. The play bet will push. The dealer fails to qualify in that game about a third of the time. Let it ride. There's no dealer qualification. You have to qualify. You're chasing the pay table, right? There's a minimum hand requirement for you. Pair of 10s are better, jacks are better. Depends on the game. Everything below that is a loss. And I've watched people play Let It Ride and letting a shitty hand ride because they don't understand the basic qualification rules. Again, this goes into studying, right? And these games are all available online. You can look at the pay charts online, learn how to play them. UTH or Ultimate Texas Hold'em, same thing. Dealer needs a pair to qualify. No pair, even money for you. Everything pushes, right? Strategy adjustments for the high or the thin value hands, rather, they depend heavily on you knowing that rule. And if you read a book like The Wizard of Odds, like his Gambling 101, goes into like how that works, right? A little bit of the math on that. That's a game that's solved. Just play it the way it says. There's no decision making in that one. Pai Gow, oh my gosh, same thing. The banker, right? The dealer or another player, you got to beat both the high and the low to win, right? You got to win 2 hands to win, otherwise you're going to tie. So and the push rules are different casino to casino. So you got to know the push rules. And I think Ian Olson's out there in chat. He's a big Pai Gow player. Will tell you this, right? Some require the house to win ties in some places, right? There's a little edge in that one. So be careful. So I saw a house where ties, you lose half your bet. Like they're just trying to screw you in every possible way. But that's a game also where you have to set the hands in a certain way. And again, the qualification rules are what they are, right? The pattern is this. Every one of these games, there's a qualification mechanic somewhere in it that changes what you would think is the optimal strategy. And if you don't know the rules and you're making decisions based on incomplete information, right? To me, it's just homework, right? Just go study the game before you sit down at the table. Know the rules, know how they qualify. How do you qualify? What happens if qualification's not met? It doesn't take a long time, but if I'm in a casino and I'm really bored and I want to play one of these, what they call a carnival game, which is, these kind of games, they're all screw jobs for one. There's not one with a good house edge, but before I sit down at that table, I'm going to the coffee shop and I'm going to pull up my phone and read about it. I'm going to look at what's the rules? How do you play it? A, I don't want to look like a dumbass when I sit down. B, I want to make sure I'm making the right calls. And if it's really a bad game, I'm just not going to go play it. If I've got an extra $100 to burn and want to just, kill a half an hour, fine, but at least read about it. Know what you're getting yourself into. Understand those basic qualifying rules before you hop into an unknown. I think that's an important thing. And again, it goes back into that whole idea of practicing before you go. All right, next up, this is an important one for me. Question everything. And this is going to sound like I'm attacking a single person, but I'm not. This has been a mantra for a long time, right? If someone is trying to sell you something that made them $500,000 last year or $50,000 last year, they've refined it over a decade, and for $99, it can be yours too. Or for a monthly membership, you can have the secret. Or for join my Patreon, I'll give you the teaser here on YouTube, but you can get the real thing on Patreon, right? If someone has the secret sauce and they're on YouTube and they're like, this will never lose, right? Here's the question you should always ask, right? If it worked, why are you selling it? Right? If it works, why are you selling it? If I had a system that was unbeatable, reliably beat the casino. I wouldn't write a book about it. I wouldn't sell it. I'd go. I'd use it. I'd make my fortune. Wouldn't tell a soul about it, right? The moment it becomes public, what happens? Casinos adapt. And if it worked, sharing it would destroy it, right? Just like card counting, right? Card counting got destroyed because of the wide sharing of it, right? But let's say you find something that seems legit, and maybe it's not even being sold. Maybe it's just somebody swears by it, right? Maybe you invented it. I've invented some strategies, right? Maybe you risk, but before you risk real money, run it through a filter, right? And again, there's lots of great strategies and strategists out there that are putting stuff out that we need to kind of look at and consume before you play it. Before you play it, ask the questions, right? Number one, understand most systems don't reduce house edge. They just shift when you win and lose. That's all they're really doing, right? Winning 5 small sessions, losing one enormous one is not an edge. It's delayed. It's delaying the inevitable, right? That happens, right? Now, here's the questions to ask yourself before you play anything you see online or anything you read in a book or anything somebody told you in secret in the bathroom, right? What happens after 10 consecutive losses? Because it happens, right? And guaranteed it will happen. There will be times when you lose, even doing the right move 10 times in a row. If the answer is that ain't going to happen, you're in trouble. If the answer to that question is, I'll just reload, then the system owns you, not the other way around. Understand that if it loses 10 in a row, how do you look? When I preach about the 1-3-2-4, right? The worst possible case in that strategy is we go from 1 to 3. It costs me 2 units. If I lose 10 in a row, I'm down 20 units. If I got $25 units, I'm down $500. I know if I lose 10 in a row, what the max is for me. I already know going into it, right? If you don't know what that looks like for the way that you're playing, you're in deep, deep trouble, okay? What's the required bankroll for this system? And do I have it? Okay? Most systems will need 3 to 5 times more than people typically bring. These systems, especially negative progressions, need a ton of money. If you can't survive that worst realistic run, then you're not testing the system, you're gambling, and don't do that live. Don't do it live in the casino. I've heard too many stories. People, I saw this on YouTube. I went to the casino and I lost 10K. Well, did you practice it? Going back to our last point, right? Do you have the right bankroll to make it work? That might be a you problem, okay? Can you execute this thing perfectly when you're tired, when you're tilted, when you're down half your bankroll, right? Systems don't always fail in simulations. They fail at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're pooped and you're emotional. If it requires perfect discipline and it requires a lot of thinking that you don't really have at some times of the day, night, it's not a system, it's a fantasy, right? Have you done it for 1,000+ decisions? Not 50, not a weekend, not a half hour in the morning, 1,000. Have you done 1,000 trials of it before spending $1 of real money? If you're not willing to do that, you're not testing, you're hoping. That's an important thing. This channel exists. My ProCraps persona exists because I tested the shit out of everything I put out there. Everything. I showed all the simulations, all the computer runs. I ran the same strategy every day for a month straight. So you could see over time how these things work, not just today when I got lucky. That's an important bit of this thing. People think I'm a nerd because I test things I over test things. I do. Because I won't put money behind it if I don't know what's going to happen. Right? I know I'm going to lose over time, but I know how it's going to happen before I get out there, right? Another question, does the casino try and stop what I'm doing? Right? If it's the next great card counting system, card counters get backed off. You start having too big of a spread, bye-bye, you're out. They don't exist to let you make money. They will ban your ass, right? If you're doing hole carding, if that's the system is hole carding, you'll get banned, right? Real edges get noticed. The casino doesn't care that you're doing it. You probably don't have an edge anyway, right? So here's another thing. Is the explanation for the thing you're trying to get into math or is it marketing? The secret casinos don't want you to know. Marketing, right? Real advantage play is boring. It's technical and it's backed by math. I've said this before. The card counter guys make all this money card counting, right? They're literally at 25-hour tables with a good counting system and a team and disguises and all that shit, making 17 to 20 bucks an hour. They're there for 15 hours a day. That's what they're doing. They're making a small sliver over a long period of time. That's advantage play, not something you spend $100 on a book, right? They don't sell their systems for $99. Those guys don't. They have big systems, right? And I'm looking at like Unabated, Blackjack Apprenticeship. These guys, they are systems players. They are advantage players, and there is a cost to learning how to do that. But it's not snake oil. It's not, give me $50 and here's access to my secret private bullshit I got on the internet. Okay, skepticism is your defense, right? Run every system through those questions, right? If it can't survive the questions, it can't survive the casino. If it sounds good, too good to be true, it's most likely bullshit. Okay. Now, next up, and I think last up, is quitting. And I've saved this for last because, it's the close of the episode and it's important, right? Most players think, quitting is what happens when they're forced to leave, right? You're out of money, you're out of time, you're out of luck. That's not quitting. That's running out. It's different. Quitting, you ready for this, is an active decision. Okay. You choose to leave while you still have chips, while you're still in control, while leaving is still a choice. Real quitting, I'll repeat, is an active decision. The problem is this, right? The moment never feels right. When you're winning, you want to keep winning. When you're losing, you want to get even. There's always a reason to stay just a little longer. One more shooter, right? That's why quitting, it requires something. It requires you to pre-commit to it, right? Before you buy in, decide when you're getting out. A time limit, a win goal, a loss limit, whatever matters to you, whatever is most important, you got to hit it and stick to it, right? You execute that. You can't negotiate with yourself. One more hand, one more toss. I want to shoot again. Let me go through these 3 people so I can shoot again. I made that mistake so many times, right? One more shooter, one more round, one more shoe. Every successful quit builds muscle for the next one. Every failed quit, every time you talk yourself into staying, makes the next exit harder. I've given you guys how many times? The $10 challenge, right? Take $100 at the casino, drive to the casino, buy in for $100, win 10, and get out and go back home again. Nobody will do it. Everybody, and I guarantee you, there will be a comment in this video that says, it's not worth my time to go to win $10. And I don't give a fuck about the $10. That's about building the skill. Building the skill to go, win, and leave. Learning how to quit when you've hit a goal. Learning how to set a goal and stick to it. If you want to do it for 1,000 and 100, fine, and make it worth, I don't care. Go every day. Until you can do that, you cannot call yourself a player. You're a gambler. And that's just the way it is, right? Quitting isn't giving up. It's a skill. It turns winning sessions into actual wins and losing sessions into manageable losses. And this is the ultimate, I think, quality decision, right? All that selectivity we talked about earlier, choosing better game, making a quick decision on strategy, questioning a bad system, none of it matters. None of it matters if you can't walk away when it's time to walk away, right? Quality players quit on their terms. Everybody else quits when they're forced to. That's a big differentiator, right? It's a skill that protects everything else. You decide when to leave before you sit down, and you honor that decision no matter how you're feeling. That's quitting, and it's an important thing for us to remember. All right. So I think that does it here for the letter Q. And what I want you to take away is this, right? The house edge feeds on volume. Every bet, every hand, every spin is another chance for the math to grind you down, right? Quality play minimizes exposure. It maximizes value. It's being picky. It's practicing strategy until you're a machine. No hesitation, no noise, just executing. Know the rules that most players skip over and question everything that promises to beat the math. It's quitting on your terms, and it's the ultimate, I think, quality decision. All the selectivity in the world means nothing if you can't walk away. I want you to raise your standards. Play less, play better, be a machine, and always quit before the casino decides to quit on you. And I think that, my friends, is the takeaway here from the whole thing. I think it's funny, when I did the series prep, I found that I thought Q, some of these letters are hard, by the way. X is a hard one to fill content with, right? Q I thought was going to be kind of hard, but it turns out Q was one of the easier ones and one of the better sessions, I think. I hope you'll agree. Today was one of the better sessions we've had. Q is awesome because it gets us into quality quitting practice, all the important things that we tend to kind of, brush aside. So anyway, let me go check here for any questions. Let's see. Louis says, Q, the quest for the monster roll. Louis also says, Q, question everything for sure. Yeah, so quit when you're ahead. I just said quit, period. So quit is both when you're ahead, when you're at a manageable loss, or when you've hit some number, whether it's time or shoes or whatever it is. Know that on the way in, and quit when the quitting's good, as they say. All right. All right. Let's go. Let's do. I think our last little thing here is going to be our inspiration, right? Our inspiration station. What do I have today for you? Today's inspiration, I think. I heard this actually. Where did I hear this one? It's funny. I hear these things on the radio sometimes, or in a movie. This might have been from a movie, actually. I think it was a movie. And a dying dad was telling his son this, right? But it's a great one. It's a great one, right? Legacy, right? It's not what you leave behind. It's what you leave in other people. Isn't that interesting? Legacy is what you leave in other people. It's not what you leave behind, just that. It's got to be consumed and followed through. So that is that's your inspiration for today. Kevin, I'll get to your question tomorrow, because I do have to get to work here. But Stroke in the Casino, I know you have a story to tell. Maybe tomorrow morning's opening segment, we'll talk about that. We'll open the show with this chat. All right. You guys have a great Monday. Let's have a good week here. If you're part of the Casino Quest Prime group, I'll see you on the demo today at 3:00. I've got a lot of good stuff to show you, and I'm out of here. Have a great Monday. Love you all. God bless. Bye.